Documentation of experiments. Introduction. Careful documentation of all the details of an experiment and the subsequent reporting of these details in a written form are the integral part of high quality research. Such a documentation is necessary for the publication of the research outcome and also for future reference and verification. Documentation of experiments. Documentation could be in the form of logbook or notebook. Logbook is a detailed private diary about the experiment. Until recently, it was a written document, but at present, all the details about an experiment are stored or hyperlinked in a single digital document. Notebook is similar to logbook. A well kept notebook is a detailed record of the daily work of a research project. It contains all details about the experimental setup, the data collected, explanation of the analysis procedures used, and the results obtained. Another important aspect of a scientific notebook is that it is a permanent record which cannot be altered in any way. Erasing or removing the information entered in a notebook is not allowed. Alterations and manipulations in the notebook are also serious offenses. Scientific notebook serves several purposes as follows: provides a complete coverage of the work for preparing scientific paper, helps other workers to replicate or repeat the same experiment, furnishes valid evidence and supports in case of patent dispute, provides a solid use for the evaluation of the work if its result is contradictory to the results of other studies. Next, scientific paper. In any case, a detailed report of the whole work is prepared in a standard format. It is called a scientific paper. It is a written and published document of the original report. An international patent has been evolved for the preparation of scientific paper, theses, or dissertations. According to it, a scientific paper has four sections, namely introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. In an abbreviated form, it is called a IMRAD patent. Currently, this patent and its variants are commonly used all over the world in preparing scientific papers. In some instances, IRDAM pattern is used. In it, methodology comes last. Scientific paper or thesis essentially has three major sections, namely preliminaries, text, and bibliography. Preliminaries include the title page, acknowledgement, table of contents, and the substract. In student projects, a certificate also is included in the preliminaries. Text is the main body of the scientific paper. It contains the facts which form the ground of the arguments and conclusions. Text has six sections, namely in introduction, reference and review of previous literature, methodology, observations and results, discussion and conclusion. Bibliography is the list of the reference materials. Title page. Title page is the first facing page. It contains the title of the project, the name of those who have undertaken the study, the purpose for which the study has been made, and the paper is presented, the name of the recognized institution to which the paper of thesis is submitted, and the date of presentation or submission. Next, acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is the placing on record of the names of the persons, institutions, organizations, agencies, etc. in recognition and gratitude of the guidance, help, assistance, facilities, etc. they have provided for the study. Acknowledgement should always be modest without going to the extent of exaggeration and flattery. Next, table of contents. This is the tabular arrangement of the contents of the paper put in a nutshell. It provides a clear idea about the contents and the order and the sequence in which they are narrated in the thesis or paper. The inclusion of the title page, acknowledgement and certificate in the table can be optional. Next, abstract. Abstract is the very brief description of the sum and substance of the project. It includes a brief statement of the problem, a brief summary of the means and measures adopted in collecting data, a mention of the experiments done, and the crux of the conclusions and finding of the investigation. The abstract should be as brief as possible, usually not exceeding 200 words. Next, certificate. In the case of student projects, a certificate from the supervising authority has to be attached to the thesis, stating that the thesis is a bona fide record of the work done under his or her guidance. Introduction. Introduction is the first part of the text of the paper. It seeks to introduce the problem in the suitable context and to arouse the interest and curiosity of the reader. Reference and review of literature. Reference and review of the literature related to the problem under study is a very vital part of every investigation. The sources of references and review include reputed national and international research journals, published and unpublished research papers, theses and dissertations, scientific periodicals, websites, authentic books, monographs and treatises, and other electronic documents, etc. Methodology. Methodology is the sum total of the means, materials, methods, and techniques employed in the research work. In other words, it includes the materials and procedures of the investigation. Observations and results. This section of a scientific paper contains the data collected in the course of the investigation. These data are presented by way of textual discussions, tabular summaries, and graphic illustrations for reporting the results. Discussion. This is perhaps the most important section of a thesis or scientific paper. It contains valid arguments and explanations to substantiate the results, often with scientific analysis and interpretation of the data and results. Next, conclusion. Conclusion is the affirmation of a scientific truth that has been revealed by an investigator study. It should be clear, obvious, derived by reasoning and supported by evidences. Bibliography or reference list. Bibliography is the complete and systematically arranged list of the scientific literature consulted or referred during the course of an investigatory project and cited in the text of the thesis or scientific paper. Last one, appendix. Appendix is the section that contains extra information not given elsewhere in the thesis or scientific paper. Thank you.